What's up, future doctors, and welcome to Exam Edge for Community Medicine. Now, before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that little notification bell. Seriously, you don't want to miss the high-yield topics that'll help you crush your exams. Today, we are tackling a big one, domestic water purification. So let's just start with a real question, something for your daily life, aiming for your exams. The water that comes out of your tap, is it actually safe to drink? And maybe more importantly for us right now, what are the core household purification methods that you absolutely 100% need to know inside and out? Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to break this down into 3 fundamental methods. First up, we've got boiling, which we're calling the gold standard. Then chemical disinfection, the practical approach. And finally, filtration, the physical barrier. This is our roadmap for the next few minutes. Let's do it. First up, let's talk about the most reliable method out there, boiling. And trust me, it's called the gold standard for a very, very good reason. So how does this actually work? Well, it's pretty simple and honestly kind of brutal for any microorganisms in there. That intense heat just completely destroys their proteins, which, effectively kills off bacteria, viruses, and even the really tough ones like cysts and spores. Now listen up, because this is crucial for your exams. The duration. It's not enough to just see a few bubbles. You need a full rolling boil for a solid 5 to 10 minutes. That's what ensures a complete kill. It's simple, it's one step, and it's incredibly reliable. So, if boiling is so perfect, why isn't it the only thing we ever do? Well, that's where the trade-offs come in, and you gotta know these for any exam question. On the plus side, it's super effective, it's simple, anyone can do it, no fancy gear needed. But the downsides, they're pretty significant. The absolute biggest one is that it has no residual protection. The second that water cools down, it can get contaminated all over again. It also makes the water taste kind of flat. And let's be real, trying to boil water for a whole community, totally impractical. Oh, and it does absolutely nothing to get rid of that cloudy, murky look, the turbidity. So what do you do when boiling just isn't an option? Well, that brings us right into our second method, chemical disinfection. This is the go-to practical approach, especially when you're dealing with larger amounts of water. For use at home, you're going to run into a few main players. First, you've got your standard bleaching powder, which is just calcium hypochlorite. Then there's pre-made chlorine solution, a stronger version called high-test hypochlorite or HTH, and of course, those super convenient chlorine tablets. So how does this actually work in real life? It's basically a 4-step process. First, you'll make a concentrated stock solution. Second, you figure out the dose you need. You'd calculate exactly how much of that stock solution is needed for, say, a 20-liter bucket of water. Third, you add that precise amount. And finally, and this part is non-negotiable, you mix it up real good and you wait. You have to give it time for the chlorine to actually do its job. And this leads us to a super important, high-yield concept, contact time. This is the absolute minimum amount of time a disinfectant has to be in the water to kill the germs. For chlorine, that magic number is at least 30 minutes. If you let people start drinking before that half hour is up, you're taking a huge risk that the water isn't actually safe yet. Okay, let's break down the pros and cons. The single biggest advantage this has over boiling, the real game changer, is that it provides residual protection. Basically, some free chlorine hangs around in the water, acting like a bodyguard against any new germs. It's also effective, cheap, and awesome for large volumes. But on the flip side, getting the dosage exactly right is critical. Too little won't work, too much is bad. It can also give the water a weird taste or smell. It doesn't work as well in cloudy water. And like we just said, you have to respect that contact time. All right, let's move on to our third and final method for today, filtration. As you can probably guess from the name, this whole method is about creating a physical barrier to stop the bad stuff. A classic example, one you'll definitely see in your textbooks, is the ceramic filter. Think of the famous Pasteur-Chamberlain filter. These are basically just pots or candles made of a porous ceramic material. As water slowly seeps through, the tiny pores physically block and strain out the bigger contaminants like bacteria, protozoa, and other gunk, making the water a lot clearer. So the mechanism here is key. The water passes through these super fine pores, and things like bacteria and cysts are just too big to squeeze through, so they get left behind. But, and this is a huge, massive but for your exams, the pores are not small enough to catch viruses or any dissolved chemicals. This is exactly why filtration is usually just one step in a bigger process, like the 3-pot system, where you might filter the water first and then disinfect it with chemicals to make sure it's totally safe. And that brings us to its pros and cons. The big win for filtration is that it gets rid of turbidity. It makes cloudy water clear and improves the taste. It's also usually really simple to use and you don't need electricity. The major downside, as we just hammered home, is that it does not remove viruses. The filters also get clogged and need to be cleaned really carefully and regularly. The process can be super slow, and you have to be careful. A cracked filter is a useless filter. It's not doing anything at that point. And hey, just so you know, we're not just pulling this out of thin air. All of this info is distilled straight from the gold standard textbooks you're already using, like Parks and the PSM textbook. So you can be sure this is the core exam-ready knowledge that you need. All right, time for a super fast recap. This is the slide you're going to want to screenshot for that last-minute revision. Okay, so boiling. It's the most effective killer, but has zero residual protection. Chemicals. They're practical, they give you that awesome residual protection, but you have to nail the dosage and contact time. And filtration. Great for making water clear and getting rid of bacteria, but it lets viruses sneak right through, so often needs a partner, like disinfection. And there you go. You now have the essential, foundational knowledge on domestic water purification. You are officially ready to walk into your community medicine exams and tackle this topic with confidence. Hey, if this explainer made things clearer for you, do me a favor and smash that like button and share it with your batchmates. Now, we want to hear from you. What topic in community medicine is giving you a hard time? Let us know in the comments below what you want us to break down next. And please, don't forget to subscribe to Exam Edge for more high-yield content to help you ace those exams. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.